Hey everybody, I just wanted to sit and chat with you guys for a minute, try something different. So I wanted to talk to you guys about Marvel Mutants, the X-Men, and things like that. So I think they're great comics. I think that they have a corollary with real world events like the Civil Rights Movement, Charles Xavier, Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Magneto. These are obvious parallels, and I think that they're really important. Um, Themes of the comic books include, feeling like an outsider in society, which I'm sure that a lot of you guys can relate to. I know that I do. Feeling different and weird and all those things, right? All those negative things that are associated with being a mutant. A lot of us feel like mutants. So I get that that's huge and important. And they were also really convenient for the writers because they were always struggling, from what I understand, with coming up with new origins for these fantastic magical powers, right? And so having mutants enabled them to ground these powers in some kind of real life possible thing, but also really easily explain them away. Like, there are thousands of mutants because it's easy to make them. So, for the writers. Um, Sorry about that. So that's great and all of that, but I want to talk about some problems I have with them. One of the big problems I have is, where does the energy for their mutant powers come from? You know, like, okay, to use a human example, a human real life example, Michael Phelps, right? That guy eats thousands upon thousands of calories every day, something like 6 to 8,000 calories minimum every day, because he's in the pool for hours and hours and hours. So the pool draws away his body heat, which is the primary source of what you have to eat to maintain your body heat. Something like, in a 2,000 calorie diet person, something like 16 or 1,700 calories goes towards just maintaining your body temperature, and the rest of it is what you use to do everything else that you're doing. So if you're at the gym, that's all that stuff, right? So he's eating thousands and thousands of calories. Where is the energy coming from for somebody like Beast or Wolverine, Deadpool, one of these dudes, right? So, Beast, as a for instance, has cool powers. I really like his powers. He's strong, but not crazy strong. He's fast, but he's not crazy Quicksilver fast. He's agile, so he can do weird stuff. He can pick things up with his feet. So he's really cool, right? He's also super smart. If you think about it, all of his powers are something that you could do just really well, just really much better than you could do them, because he's a mutant. Okay, so it makes sense that his powers are fueled metabolically through his food, but you don't see him eating. Same thing with Wolverine, right? His major power, he has enhanced senses or whatever, but his major power is his healing factor, right? So you heal, I heal to some extent. He can regenerate, whole segments, whole organs, that kind of stuff. He can survive third degree burns across his entire body, and then in a couple hours be totally fine. In the movie, Deadpool gets his hand chopped off, and he has it regrown in a couple hours to a usable function. That's ridiculous. In a couple hours, did he eat 15 hamburgers to get the energy for that shit? They didn't show that. So that's a big problem. An example of something good for this for this is a character that a lot of people hate, but I actually think is pretty cool. Cyclops, right? So I know that there's a couple different origins for his power, or explanations of his power, but I'm going to stick to the one I'm more familiar with, and that is that he is able to convert energy from the sun like a plant does, and he uses that to generate the optic blasts. The reason that he can't control the optic blasts is because he actually has a brain injury, which is an awesome feature for a character. He actually has a disability if you think about it, and otherwise he would be totally passable, totally easy going, slim Scott Summers, and it would be great. But he got into a car accident, and he's brain damaged, and now he can't control his power, and he's constantly shooting these laser beams out of his eyes. That's great. Love that shit. He's an awful human being, but because he's done horrible things in the comic books, but he's a really cool character. another power that I have a real problem with is like Magneto, right? So if you think about, he should have magnetic based powers. So that means he should be able to pull steel and iron, and I can't think of any other ferromagnetic materials, but like he should be able to draw them towards himself. But they show him as if he can manipulate those objects with like fine motor skills. So like in the movie, he's able to levitate all these guns from the cops, aim them, cock the slides back, and basically start to pull the triggers. Like he shouldn't be able to do any of that. He should be able to pull and maybe push things away. Where's the fine motor skills coming from? I'd like to talk about Storm, but this is my 4th version of this video. I keep trying to get shorter because I can only do a gig. So let's have a conversation below, and maybe I will bitch about Storm in another video. Talk to you later.